everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling, and today's video is going to be all about the 10 books that I most want to read in 2019. I was reasonable with myself. I know last year I did this and I read like 2 of the books, so it wasn't great. But I still, there's a lot of books that I really want to read, but I decided that because I'm going to be reading my shelves as one of my challenges this year, that I would only choose books that I own already. So these are not like new releases that are coming out that I want to read, because there are those too. But these are the 10 books from my bookshelves that I most want to actually read in 2019. So I've written this list in my bullet journal to remind myself that this is a thing I want to do, so hopefully that will help me to stay motivated and on task, and I don't know why my camera won't decide where to focus. These are the 10 books that I most want to get to this year. In no particular order, I'll start with The Outcasts of Time by Ian Mortimer. This book I've had for about a year. I think I bought this when it came out, and this was released at the beginning of 2018, and I've just been really excited about the premise of this book. It's time travel, which I'm always down for time travel, but it's also time travel where you have people from the Middle Ages experiencing futuristic things and events. The basic premise of this story is that these men are given this opportunity to find salvation by living out 6 days, each consecutive day, 100 years into the future. So they just keep jumping in time, and I'm like, that is so fascinating. I find that premise to be so exciting. So Ian Mortimer is a historian, and I have a few of his books that he's written about history. I think they're like the Time Traveler Guide series. He has one about the medieval world and one about Elizabethan England, and they're both really interesting. So I'm excited to read his historical fiction. A lot of these are historical fiction, like this one, and this is Fatal Throne, The Wives of Henry VIII Tell All, and this is by a variety of YA authors. We have Candace Fleming, M.T. Anderson, Stephanie Hemphill, Lisa Ann Sandel, Jennifer Donnelly, Linda Sue Park, and Deborah Hopkinson. I have been so excited about this book. I saw it many months back at Target or someplace, and I was like, what is that? I'd never heard of it before, and I went home and looked it up, and then I got really excited for it and eventually went ahead and bought my copy. But this book is basically a bunch of short stories about each of the wives of Henry VIII and Henry VIII as well, as told by a variety of YA authors, and I just find that premise exciting. I'm always excited to read anything to do with the Tudors. That is probably, that and World War II are like the 2 historical fiction topics I've read the most, and I will always love anything Tudors. The next book is one I'm actually currently reading, so I'm already one step ahead of this process, and that is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I've been just super hyped for this. I love Hank Green, I love the Green brothers and all of their crash course videos and whatnot, and I've been super excited to pick this up. I've read John Green, one of John Green's books. Not really a fan of his style, but I'm hoping I'll enjoy this book. And actually, I already do so far. I've been reading this with my twins, and we're only up to chapter 4. We haven't gotten very far yet, but we're enjoying it. It's a lot of fun so far. So I don't really know too much more than what's in the very beginning of this book, which is basically this premise is that this 20-something and her friend spot this giant weird statue in New York City. They make a silly video about it, and it goes viral, and craziness ensues, and there's also a lot of weird stuff behind the statue itself, and it's really weird and interesting, and I love the concept of like a story about YouTube culture and that kind of thing, but also the weird science fiction stuff in there. It's really interesting so far. So I'm hoping I enjoy the whole book as much as I've enjoyed the first 3 chapters. Another book I've been really looking forward to picking up this year is The Indifferent Stars Above, The Harrowing Saga of the Donner Party by Daniel James Brown. This is historical fiction about the Donner Party. It's pretty much all I know. Besides that, it has really good reviews. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I've never read anything about the Donner Party. I really don't know anything outside of the fact that they get lost and there's cannibalism. It's pretty much what everyone knows, I think. I'd love to know more. So I'm really looking forward to this. I have this in my level 12 pile. I don't know if it's going to actually be in level 12, but I figured that would be a good place to stick it to force myself to read it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm morbidly looking forward to this. I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book has been everywhere. It's all over BookTube, all over social media. I can't escape it. So I'm going to read it. And hopefully I'll be able to join into the hype. I don't know. I don't even know that much about this book beyond that it's about a old golden age of movies starlet and her life story and all of that. That's literally all I know. And I'm hoping that it's as good as everyone says it is. I hate that. I get so stressed out when books get overhyped like this, and then I feel like I have to read it, and then I usually end up not liking it, and I don't want to dislike this. I want it to be good. It's another book that I'm going to definitely absolutely have to read this year, because if I don't, my daughter is going to beat me to death with it. And that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a big book. She could probably actually beat me to death with it. Anyway, I've had this, I don't know, 2 years. It's been on my shelves, and I haven't read it. I own all of the books Leigh Bardugo has written at this point, I think. I already read Shadow and Bone probably like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I barely remember it, but I liked it. And I immediately bought the rest of the series, and I've never read it. And then I bought this when it came out, and I didn't read it. I have the sequel to this, haven't read it. So, you know, I know I'm gonna like it. I know that I will enjoy this. This is just everything I would want out of a book. It's fantasy, it's Russian influence, it's a heist, it's well written. I know it's gonna be good. So I just need to pick it up and read it, and then eventually finish this series. And this one, and all the series. It's a thing I do, where I start a series and then never finish it. The next book I have is The War I Finally Won by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. This is a sequel to The War That Saved My Life, which I read not that long ago with my 9-year-old, and she's been begging to read this with me, and so I'm like, oh yeah, we'll get to that, because I want to read it too. So this is going to happen. It's probably going to be the next book we read, honestly, because she's been asking almost every day, when are we going to read this? This is the sequel to The War That Saved My Life, which link a review that I've already done for it, but this is the sequel. I think it picks up immediately after the story in the first book, and I want to know what happens to Ada next. I also have this Gigantor book. This thing is huge and heavy. It's like a phone book. That's my favorite thing is Monsters by Emile Ferris. I bought this, I don't even know how long I've had this, probably like 6 months ago, and I've been dying to pick it up. I haven't. It's very heavy, and I know it's a comic. I mean, it's a graphic novel. It's gonna read probably really fast. It's beautifully illustrated. Like the illustrations in this are just so pretty. I also really like the fact that it looks just like a notebook with drawings over it. I don't know. For some reason, it's just very pretty to me. I really want to read this. I don't know a lot. I think all I really know is it has to do with a girl discovering her neighbor has survived a concentration camp, and things happen. I don't know. Don't really know a lot going in, besides that it has had really great reviews, and I just really want to read it. Next up, I have another one my daughter is like trying to kill me with, and that is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. She has been telling me repeatedly over and over and over how great this book is and why I should read it, and so yeah, after receiving many an essay from her on why I need to read this right now, I might finally pick it up sometime in 2019. It'll happen. I don't know a lot about this one either. I did read Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys, and I loved it. And I keep saying I want to read more of her writing, so I went and bought this, and I haven't picked it up. Surprise! This takes place during World War II. It has to do with the sinking of a ship. I don't know more than that. And it is, I think it's multiple perspective. So it meets one of my challenges this year, which is to read a book told in multiple perspectives. The last book on my list is Dear Evan Hansen, the novel by Val Emmett, Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek, and Justin Paul. And this is the novelization of the Broadway musical, Dear Evan Hansen, which I've never seen. I've heard most of the soundtrack for it. I love the soundtrack. It's got some of my favorite songs, and it's so beautiful. And I hate that I can't see the play. Like, I want to piece the story together better in my mind, and so when I heard that there was going to be a novelization, I was so excited to pick this up. I would just recommend you go listening to the soundtrack because it's beautiful. Ben Platt's voice is just everything. I want him to sing everything. These are the 10 books that I want to read this year. Obviously, I'm going to read more than 10 books this year. I have a lot of things that I have to read for various projects, for Build Your Library, for the reading crates, and all of that. And I'm gonna squeeze every minute I can into reading these 10 books in addition to all the other stuff. I don't know. I can do it. I know I can do it. One of the things I'm trying to do this year, and have not really been very successful as of yet, we're only 7 days in, but one of the things I want to do this year as a part of my reading goals is to use social media less. And I keep making excuses that, oh, but I have to because my job requires it. And I'm like, yeah, but 90% of the scrolling I do on social media has absolutely nothing to do with my job. So, yeah, I'm trying to make it a goal to, instead of just mindless scrolling, to pick up a book instead. And so, yeah, that's a thing I'm trying to do. Are you making any kind of like goals with yourself as far as getting more reading time in? So what books do you hope to get to in 2019? Are there any that you want to like really make happen? I'd love to hear about it down below in the comments and we can chat. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.